Chapter 12 of Dead Men's Shoes. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Mary Herndon Bell. Dead Men's Shoes by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. Chapter 12. Love, then, had hope of richer store. After that summer day under the plane trees, Sybil utters the name of Secretan no more. Hope of relenting on her uncle's part there is none. If Alexis could forgive the man who, in his version of the story, came basely between father and son to cheat the son of his heritage and trick the lover out of his mistress, Stephen Trenchard's stubborn soul would still remain unsoftened. Reconciliation between these two was impossible. To retain her uncle's favor and inherit a portion of his wealth, Sybil must keep the secret of her marriage. A painful part to play, even for a mind not untrained in deceit. But a necessary part, Sybil tells herself. A difficult game, but for a stake well worth the winning. She has no exact measure of her uncle's possessions. He has never talked to her of his investments or told her his income. But she has a fixed idea that his wealth is almost without limit. That, like the Rothschilds or the Duke of Westminster, he could scarcely state the sum total of his riches if he were asked for exact figures. His fortune is a rolling mass of gold, she supposes, which grows larger at every turn like a snowball. The respects he sees paid to him by the elect of Redcastle establishes her in this conviction of Stephen Trenchard's importance, for she knows that in this case, importance can only mean money. Lancaster Lodge is one of those handsomely finished, solidly built houses which adorn the outskirts of every country town, and are like temples dedicated to the genius of commonplace. Houses in which the butler's pantry has been as carefully considered as the drawing room, and in which my lady's boudoir is just as unlovely as John Thomas's attic under the Leads. All the principal rooms are large and square and lofty. The passages are broad and straight. The staircase is well proportioned, ventilated, and lighted to perfection. Impossible to find fault with a house which, as the house agent proudly puts it, possesses all the requirements for a gentleman's family. Equally impossible to feel the slightest interest in a mansion which neither awes by its splendor, nor attracts by its eccentricity, nor charms by the lowlier graces of homeliness and simplicity. A coffin descending that mathematical staircase would lose its awfulness in the pervading atmosphere of commonplace. A cradle in any of those rooms would seem to have lost its way and wandered into a desert where baby life could not endure. No sadly sweet fancies of domestic joys that are no more entwine themselves about this dwelling of Stephen Trenchard's. It looks like what it is, an old bachelor's house, and Mr. Trenchard could hardly have chosen a habitation more completely in harmony with his own character. The Redcastle upholsterer, a man whose stock in trade appears to consist of 2 easy chairs and a sideboard, but who can do great things at a push, has furnished Lancaster Lodge with appropriate splendor. All is solid and grandiose. Dark crimson draperies, velvet in the dining room and library, satin brocade in the drawing room, subdue the garish light and give a somber grandeur to the rooms. Heavy oak furniture, thickest Turkey and Persian carpets, varied spoil of carved black wood ivory, porcelain, and Bombay inlaid work, which Mr. Trenchard has brought home with him from India. Everywhere the evidence of wealth. To Sybil, the house seems simply perfect. Its luxury, its soft, silent splendor contrasts so pleasantly with the humble homeliness of her Uncle Robert's old-fashioned, low-ceiling rooms. The stealthy-footed footman, who spends so much of his time looking at nothing in particular out of the hall window, that he grows sedentary in his habits and fancies he has disease of the heart. The ponderous butler in his glossy black suit and irreproachable white tie. The smart maidservants in crisp, starched cambric, tight-waisted, prim, supercilious, as if Mr. Trenchard's importance as the richest man in Redcastle shed reflected glory upon them. The household has an air of quiet dignity which impresses Sybil wonderfully. Her soul reposes itself in this land of fatness. She looks back at her life in Dixon Street, its one room, its manifold privations, veritable starvation, hovering near like the wan specter of approaching doom. And the change seems too wonderful for anything but a dream. Does she think of the husband who shared her poverty, whom she abandoned to endure misfortune alone, deserted in the darkest hour of their wedded life?